Hello and welcome to my channel English with Hamda. This is the second video of my channel. In today's session, I'm going to teach you a very important grammatical point, that is simple present tense. This is simple but very important. And before to start the lesson, I'm going to ask you to subscribe, like and subscribe my channel for more videos. So what is simple present tense? I'm sure that you have studied simple present tense and you're quite familiar with simple present tense. But in today's session, I'm going to teach you the usages that you might not have studied in the classes, or you might not have studied in your centers. Or if you have studied, you might have forgotten them. So in today's session, the simple present tense that you might be completely familiar with this. So that is the structures. I'm going to discuss the structure of simple present tense, that we have the structure subject plus base form of the verb and then the complement. So the structure of simple present tense is subject plus base form of the verb and the complement. So this base form of the verb, it can be divided into two groups. That would be to be verbs, that we can have to be verbs in simple present tense like am, is, and are. Like, for example, I am a teacher. I am an English teacher. So he is an engineer, and she is, for example, a doctor. They are in the class. They're outside. They are in the class or they're outside. So they're examples of to be verbs. So they're all simple present tense. But besides, we have the normal verbs. That these normal verbs can be divided into two groups, that we can divide them into I, you, we, and they, the structures with I, you, we, and they, and the structures with he, she, and it. So for these four subject pronouns that we have, I, you, we, and they, we can use in simple present tense in positive sentences. We can use the base form of the verb without any changes. There is no change needed. So as an example, we can say that I study, or you study, we study, or they study. But in negative sentences, you add don't to the verb. For example, I don't study, you don't study, we don't study, and they don't study. So these are the examples with negative sentences. So in the questions, we can add do at the beginning of the sentence, and then we can have the subject pronouns, and then the base form of the verb. You see that we have no changes in the base form of the verbs here. So for example, that we can say that, do I study? Do you study? Do we study? Or do they study? So these are the structures with I, you, we, and they in simple present tense. And the structures with he, she, and it in positive sentences, we can add es or just s or ies at the end of the verbs. So that is the sign for singular forms of the verbs that would be possible to be used with singular forms of the verbs and in subject pronouns with he, she, and it, that these subject pronouns are called third person singular. So these third person singular, they can take s, es, or ies at the end of the verbs in positive sentences. So in negative sentences, we can add doesn't with the base form of the verb without any changes. We have no s or es at the end of the verbs this time in negative sentences. For example, he studies, she studies, it studies. Or we can say that he doesn't study, she doesn't study, and it doesn't study. And in question sentences, so we can add does at the beginning of the sentence so that we can change that to a question form. And then we can have the subject pronouns in the middle, and then we have the verbs, the base form of the verb without any s or es at the end. So for example, does he study, does she study, or does it study? Okay, it can be possible to be used for example, robots or machines that they might be studying something. And the second part that I'm going to discuss today in today's session, they are the usages of simple present tense. These usages are not just all of them. Simple present tense can have many different usages. So the most important usages that I have written here, I'm going to discuss in this session, they are the first one, facts that are always true. Facts that are always true. For example, water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. So you see that the base form of the verb for water. Water is a third person singular, we can say. It is used for, we can say, objects or like waters or liquids, that we have the base form of the verb, and then we have s at the end of the verb because of the singular or the third person singular we have. And then 100 degrees Celsius is the complement that we have. This is a fact. This is a fact that is always true. It is not changeable. So the second form that we have, it is used for habits. Habits like, for example, British people drink a lot of tea. British people drink a lot of tea, for example. Or he smokes every day. He smokes 5 times a day. For example, they drink lots of water during the day, in hot days, or we can say in sunny days. And then the third usage that we have, for states, we can use for states. Simple present tense can also be used for states, like the example that we have. I don't like gangster films. It means that it is kind of a statement that I don't like gangster films. Gangster films are not, for example, my cup of tea. And the fourth usage, making declarations. I bet you don't know the answer. Bet you don't know the answer. Bet is the best form of the verb in simple present tense, and don't know is also the best form of the verb in simple present tense. The fifth usage that we have, headlines on newspaper and also TV news. As an example, ship sinks in midnight collision. Ship sinks in midnight collision. So sinks, it is the best form of the verb in simple present tense again. It is a kind of headline. Okay, we can say a piece of news, or we can say the headline of news in newspapers or TV news. So the sixth usage, instructions and itineraries. Instructions for cooking something, doing something, making something. For example, first you add some oil to cook, for example, omelette. Or first you add some oil to make something, or to cook, for example, rice. And then the itinerary, the example would be, on the day 3, we visit the Eiffel Tower. It means that someone had gone to a trip, and then they visited lots of places. The first day they did something different, and the second day they went, for example, to other places. And on the day 3, they visit the Eiffel Tower. The seventh usage that we have, it is the summaries of events. Summaries of events, for example, at the end of the play, both families realized that. We can complete the sentence like this, that at the end of the play, there had been a play, the people went to a play, and then when they came back home, they wanted to retell their story to the family and said that at the end of the play, both families realized that, for example, both families realized that their hatred caused the death of the lovers. Both families realized that their hatred, the families they hated each other, and their hatred caused the death of the lovers. There had been the lovers that they loved each other, and then the hatred caused them to kill each other, or to hang themselves up. And the last usage that we have in simple present tense is history present in narratives and funny stories. In narratives and funny stories, the narratives would be and the funny stories would be the same. So, as an example, then the second man asks the first one why he has a banana in his ears. See that someone has put the banana in his ears, and it is a kind of part of a funny story. So it means that if you put banana in your ears, or in your, for example, ears, it would be something funny, and then it is part of a funny story. That is all about simple present tense, and hope you have enjoyed my video, and hope you understood my lesson, and hope you follow my videos and subscribe my channel so that you can enjoy for more videos and you can have more fun with me.